Hi, here we are again inside the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E Premium All-Wheel Drive. So, we've got two screens, right? And this is kind of a big deal, this little one, because what everyone seems to complain about the Tesla that isn't used to it, well, they wish there was a screen in front, kind of like a traditional car, which this one definitely has. It works very well and definitely puts that concern to rest. For someone like me who jumps back and forth between cars, I get it. Yes, this makes sense. For someone like my wife who drives a Tesla and no other cars, she's perfectly fine just, keeping it in her peripheral vision and looking at her speed that way if she needs to. That one works fine also. However, this is a more traditional setup, and frankly, it's a good idea. I mentioned the range thing earlier, and what Ford does, it's different. All the other manufacturers, such as, let's say, Tesla, Nissan, and GM and everybody else, they use the EPA generated range. And then, so if you charge the car all the way up, it tells you have, in the case of the Tesla, let's say 325 miles of range. However, when you drive, if you're driving at all different than what the EPA did to get that range, which frankly you will, just like in almost every car, the range ends up being different. So if you drive when it's, the temperature's lower or much higher than what it was when they tested it, if you drive much faster, if you go uphill, anything like that, you'll drive for a while and then realize that, wait a second, I drove 75 miles, but it says I used up, 90 miles of range. And it just goes on from there. That, in the end, is probably what creates range anxiety. However, what Ford does, and this is slick, their algorithm is totally different. They take what the EPA has and advertises it as such as in this car with a standard battery and all-wheel drive, it says that it has, or in theory, has 211 miles of range. However, right here we're seeing 148 miles with 89% state of charge. There's no way that interpolates up to 211. So what this car does is it takes the driving history, as well as the current temperature, and also the forecast temperature and weather forecasts in general, as well as crowdsourced info from other Mustang Mach-E's that are out there. So it gives you kind of a prediction that gets updated constantly on the fly as to what's really, what you're really going to get as far as range goes. This is slick. I mean, so you don't just lose, you don't just end up with less range than you thought. Sometimes you can end up with more. For example, the other day I drove on the freeway. I drove about 40 miles, looked at it and realized, wait a second, it only sucked up 30 miles of my range. And the reason why, well, I was going at a normal speed, but I was going at, I guess I was driving it more normally than the car's been driven. I doubt it's ever been reset since it was, delivered originally, for 3,560 miles ago. A bunch of journalists have driven it, probably driven it fairly hard. So right now it's taking all that into account. Over time, as over-the-air updates get more commonplace and the info goes back and forth between this and other Mustang Mach-E's, that range I expect will get better and better, and as such will be a much better predictor, especially for an owner of the car, over time as to what's actually going on. So that's a much better feature than I thought it would be, and now that I understand it, it makes a lot of sense, and I wish actually the other manufacturers would do the same thing. Let's look at the big screen. This is a big boy. So the obvious thing here is you have the volume knob on the bottom, which is definitely different. Other than that, well, your HVAC is on the bottom. To adjust, you touch it, and then you have slider controls. Oh, I heated that up. Or you can just touch it. Let's turn that off. If you want to turn the heated steering wheel on, hit that, turn it back off. Heated seats, slide it up, off. Automatic, I guess. Fan, automatic or manual. Defroster, other seat, and so on and so forth. In here, a little tile shows you your tire pressure, your trip meter for this particular trip. You can just scroll to get to Android Auto or the radio or whatever. I guess I clicked on it, so it gave me the whole tire pressure screen. You can also go back to the general menu button, and then you can see the menu of everything that there is. So radio, phone, navigation, tire pressure, trips, owner's manual, Apple CarPlay, iPhone Waze, app catalog, whatever. Or you can click on the car, and then, oh, look, it takes you to the controls and settings for the car. So in this case, we have drive modes. We have, well, starting from the top, engage, whisper, and unbridled. I'm guessing that's sort of, well, it's kind of an eco, normal, and sport mode. Unbridled is kind of what I kept it in. I couldn't tell a significant difference between all three of them, so whatever. Down here, you have the setting you turn on your one pedal driving, which is slick. One pedal driving, for those who don't know, you end up not using your brake pedal. You end up just using your accelerator. If you lift off, the car will decelerate and regenerate battery power. It's hard to explain, but once you try it, it's slick and you get used to it very quickly. I find myself virtually not using the brake at all. And it's not just this car that does it. Most electric cars do something similar. In this case, it's very similar to how the Tesla works, and it's really second nature. Let's see, ambient light. It has ambient light, and I guess that picks it automatically. Propulsion sound. This pipes in noise, so it's kind of weird. You're in an electric car and you want the sound of a V8. Okay, hit propulsion sound. It's not loud, it's not annoying. It's actually really well done. It's quite quiet. It's very subtle, but it's kind of you get a nice little V8 burble when you're accelerating, and it works. I don't know. It's far better than I thought. It's nowhere near as cheesy as I thought it would be. As far as the car goes, there's also camera modes. So you have the backup camera. You can change how you're viewing, what you're viewing around the car, where the car is going to end up going when you back up. It's pretty slick. Works well. It's great in the garage, seeing what's around it. This is the parking aid, so I can push the button down here and it'll help me park. I don't really need help parking, but that's fine. Access, you can unlock the charge cord. Charge port has a light if you want it. Driver assistance things such as auto hold. So if you have this on, it just applies the brake pedal automatically when you come to a full stop. If you have it off, it moves forward it creeps forward like a regular automatic vehicle. And then traction control on or off. And there's additional settings also. Let's go back. I guess you can turn off the blind spot, information system, cross traffic alert, kind of everything. There's all kinds of things here. Where was I? You can turn on valet mode with a pin so that the valet can't have too much fun in this car. And then, well, that's your settings again. Let's see. Let's go back to the car. That was pretty much it for the car. Going back to the regular, let's say you have, you can go to radio, and then you can tune or go to Sirius or do whatever you want to do there. You can do a lot of this stuff via voice commands also, using the voice button. But if you want to do it on the screen, you certainly can. Go to navigation. You have various different. You can change how it looks and how it all works. Works well. Again, you can tell it the address that you want to go to just verbally, and it'll take you there. Obviously tells you where you're at. We happen to be at exactly 5,000 feet elevation here where we're parked. That's not just a round number. As you're driving around, it does move up by 1, 2, 3, whatever, the exact feet. It's not, every 500, every 1,000 feet. Let's see. Tire pressure tells you, so 40, 39, that's about right. Trips, I'll go on that in a second. You can go straight to the owner's manual, so if you want to look something up, you don't need to even go in the glove box. You can just wait for this to pop up. So it's categories, visual searches, videos, bookmarks, whatever you want. It's quite well done. Waze is there. What we're going to do? Oh, trips. So this is kind of cool. So going to trips, this one, I took a pretty short trip. So let's go to the trip meter. I have not actually reset this. So this is kind of cool. So this is, let's say, trip meter. You're going on a long trip to grandma's house or whatever. You reset the trip 1, and in this case, trip 1 is last reset 784 miles ago, which is 5 something hours, 5 days. I don't know. Anyway, and it's using 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour in this particular case. But this is cool. Where did my energy go? So of all the power that was used during that time, 16% of it went to climate use. So that's, your HVAC, heated steering wheel, heated seats, and so forth. 72% went to the route, which is just purely the mileage. 5% went to accessories, which is stuff like the wireless charging pad, the radio, most likely the headlights, stuff like that also. And then 7% of the battery charge was lost to the exterior temperature, i.e. it was cold out, and so it'll use more power adjusting for that and keeping the battery itself at the optimal temperature. And then let's scroll this kind of, there we go. Oh, let's make this full screen. Just hit the little button. Then how is my driving? This doesn't work on the full trip meters, but it works on this trip. So on the single trip, I haven't gone anywhere. So normally, how is my driving? The acceleration, deceleration, speed, those would vary. The acceleration, the more you hot dog it and the harder you're on the gas instead of just being normal, the lower that score will go. Deceleration, I actually got it like at 98 to 100% normally, and that's just purely from the one pedal braking, or one pedal driving. If you don't use your brakes at all and just do the one pedal thing, which is not difficult to do, you will stay at 100%. So, and that obviously puts energy back in the battery. And then the speed, the more you go at normal speeds, the closer to 100% you get. So around town, whatever pretty much the speed limit is, and then on the freeway, if you're trying to go just for the land speed record, that's going to come down. But if you go at regular, normal speeds, that'll stay up. Basically, has to do with your energy efficiency and how you're using the whole thing. Let's see, is there anything else? Go back to the car, drive modes, camera, parking. We did all that. Settings. Oh yeah, so settings. So here's sound, for example. You can change how the stereo sounds. Radio, you can tell it what you want on FM, HD radio, radio text, how many rows of presets you want. Your phone list has all your different phones on there. Charge, so your state of charge. Preferences, you can tell it when you want it to start charging, when you want it to end. That's great for people who have time of use metering. And then departure and comfort, you can tell it when you expect to leave. So if you were to know you're leaving at 8 a.m. in the morning every day to go to the office, you can set it up so that on weekdays you want the car to be fully warmed up or cooled down and ready to go for you at a minute before you normally leave. Which is great because you'll do that using shore power, i.e. you're plugged into the wall in your house instead of using battery power as you're on the move. And that can change. You can do multiple settings every day of the week, whatever you want. You can also use the My Ford Pass app on the phone and tell it, hey, I'm going to be leaving in half an hour, get the car ready. And it'll get itself all ready, i.e. warm the battery up, warm or cool down the interior how you want it, set up the seat how you want it. If it's change your own personal profile. You can do whoever you have set, yourself, your wife, or your spouse, or whoever else you want. So that when they get close to the car presets itself to them with the mirrors, the seats, the radio, all that stuff. Driver assistance, we already looked at that. That's all the little features. The vehicle itself, let's see. This is a little laggy every now and again, but it's not bad. It's quick for the stuff that you use all the time, and it takes a couple seconds sometimes to load up for stuff that you don't use all the time. So in this case, you can have a rear occupant alert, which was off, now it's on. So that tells me, it warns me. You get I guess here it'll ask me twice a year if I want to turn this feature on. That's, if it knows that there's somebody in the back seat or a weight in the back seat, it'll alert you so you don't leave your kid in the car. Easy entry, Mach-E, just kind of how you want everything set up. General has to do with, do you want the temperature in Fahrenheit, Celsius, PSI, stuff like that. What do you want to beep? When do you want it to beep? Display, what do you want? What brightness do you want? Which screen do you want? There's different backgrounds you can pick and so on and so forth. Let's go to the clock. It's 3:30. Well, no, it's 3:59. There we go. That's correct. And automatic time update was on, so we just had the time change the other day, so it automatically did it. Connectivity, this has to do with the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi, etc. You can use the vehicle as a hotspot. Help getting started, that's handy for someone like me. System updates, this Ford is working on doing the over-the-air updates, just like Tesla. So it'll automatically update the vehicle and the software within the vehicle, which is great. So for example, in Tesla will increase the range as they figure out slightly different, more efficient parameter as far as how the programming works. So they'll update that, and all of a sudden, boom, you get more range. I expect Ford will do something similar. Other updates can also be done over the air. So this obviously negates the need for going to the dealer as often, and also lets Ford update it more often. It asks you if you want to do it, and you can also schedule it when you want it done. Usually, in my experience, it takes from a few minutes to maybe half an hour. So the easiest way is to set it up to happen in the middle of the night or whatever when you're not going to be using the car. Generally, it works out. Actually, it works out great. mobile apps. So there's, it has to do with the password and your network name. This is actually the screen where you can set up what time you're leaving and how do you want everything to be. 911 assist, which I will not touch just in case, although there's a police officer parked over there having her lunch. I don't want her running over here. Voice control, you can set up, you can tell it to listen for a wake word, so you can say, you know, schlamazel, and then it'll wake up, or whatever word you want it to be. Or you can just touch the little button on the steering wheel, which works just as well, and then tell it what you want. Stuff like that. Ambient light, so I can change the light in the footwells from, you know, blue to red to green, purple. Purple's good, but I think I'll go with orange. And that's about it. So what else is on the screen here? So you have the HVAC and the volume, and the radio stuff is down here at the top. I'll show you the time, the temperature, the phone battery, how the Wi-Fi is working, the state, and all that. This is the general menu button, and this is the button that's specific to the vehicle. And well, that's it for the screens here. So hopefully that was helpful, and thank you very much. Bye-bye.